If you're a Tolkien fan, you've probably heard of Andúril and Angrist, maybe even the Dragon Helm of Dor-lómin if you've read the books, artifacts that shape the very history of Middle-earth. But here's what most fans overlook. Every one of them was forged by the same hands, by Telchar of Nogrod, a name rarely spoken, even among true Tolkien readers. When we think of great smiths, we usually picture the Elves, especially the master craftsmen of the Noldor. Celebrimbor, who forged the Rings of Power, Feanor, creator of the Palantiri and the radiant Silmarils, jewels that captured the light of the two trees of Valinor. Yet beside these great elves, in some ways even surpassing them, was Telchar, the greatest dwarven smith to ever live. Today we'll uncover his story, who he was, the legendary artifacts he crafted, the tragic fall of his city Nogrod, and why Tolkien wrote so little about this master of metalwork. Telchar lived in the First Age, deep beneath the halls of Nogrod, one of the two great dwarven cities carved into the Blue Mountains of Beleriand. Much of what we know about him comes from scattered lines in the Silmarillion, unfinished tales, and the Children of Hurin. Tolkien never gave him a personal story. No grand adventures, no chronicles of his life. Instead, his legacy survives in the work of his hands. Nogrod itself helps us understand the man. Alongside its sister city Belegost, it was one of the earliest dwarven strongholds in the West. While Belegost was famed for warriors and engineers, Nogrod was known for craftsmen, jewelers, metalsmiths, and artisans, whose works were prized by dwarves, elves, and men alike. While there was life there, these halls rang with the sound of hammers striking anvils, and the air shimmered with molten metal. It was a place where skill was everything, where a smith's reputation could travel across Beleriand, and where precision and artistry were valued as highly as bravery in battle. It was in this culture of meticulous craftsmanship, pride, and tradition that Telchar honed his skill, learning not only to forge but to innovate. He became the master of the smiths of Nogrod, a title that carried weight even among elves who might otherwise have looked down on dwarves. In a world where mistrust often separated their peoples, his work was recognized and treasured across boundaries. From Nogrod's glowing forges came blades, knives, and armor that would echo through history, objects whose makers often remain unnamed except for Telchar. Each creation was a testament not just to technical skill, but to an understanding of strength, purpose, and beauty. But like so many First Age tales, Nogrod's story ended in ruin. After the War of Wrath, the climactic battle in which Morgoth was finally defeated, Beleriand was reshaped. Mountains shattered, rivers redirected, and entire regions swallowed or flattened. Nogrod itself collapsed beneath the Blue Mountains, its halls buried, its people scattered or lost, and much of its craft and history erased. The city that had nurtured generations of smiths, including the greatest of them all, was gone in an instant, leaving only fragments of its legacy. And yet, through it all, Telchar's name survived, attached to some of the most legendary artifacts of Middle-earth. Though Telchar himself remains largely invisible in history, every Tolkien fan will be familiar with at least one of his many creations. The most famous of Telchar's works was Narsil, the sword that outlasted empires. Forged in the deep forges of Nogrod, it was born in an age when Morgoth still ruled from Angband. Thousands of years later, it would find its way into the hands of Elendil of Númenor, carried into the final war against the Shadow's last servants. When Elendil fell before Sauron himself, Narsil broke beneath him. But even shattered, it burned with light. It was with those broken shards that Isildur cut the One Ring from Sauron's hand, ending the Second Age. And when the time came, that same blade was reforged into Andúril, Flame of the West, the sword that crowned a king and united a world. Few weapons in Middle-earth have shaped as many turning points or bridged so many ages. Then there's Angrist, a smaller blade, but no less legendary. Its name means Iron Cleaver, and it lived up to it. Forged from the hardest steel of Nogrod, it was said to cut through iron as if it were cloth. In Beron's quest to steal a Silmaril from Morgoth's Iron Crown, Angrist became the silent key that changed everything. With it, Beron cut free the jewel that would ignite wars, curse bloodlines, and set the stage for the tragedies of the First Age. One precise strike, one moment of courage, and an artifact of Telchar's hand set the entire world in motion. And then there's the Dragon Helm of Dor-lómin, heavy, unyielding, and crowned with the image of Glaurung himself, the father of dragons. It was wrought for Hodor, lord of his house, and later passed to his descendant Turin Turambar, one of the most tragic heroes Tolkien ever wrote. When Turin wore it, no orc dared face him. The helm made him larger than life, almost mythic. But like so many symbols in Tolkien's world, it carried the weight of doom as much as glory. Turin's victories couldn't escape his cursed fate, and the helm became a relic of both heroism and sorrow, the perfect reflection of its age. Each of these creations carries a story that outlived its maker. Through them, Telchar's forge never truly went cold. His hands may be lost to time, but his craft shaped destinies that even the Valor could not ignore. After all that, one question remains. Why do we know so little about Telchar himself? The answer lies partly in Tolkien's focus. His stories center on elves, men, and the great tragedies surrounding the Silmarils. Dwarves, even master craftsmen like Telchar, were often secondary threads, important only when their work intersected with the main story. Most of what we have are names attached to objects, not narratives about the maker. In the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales, Telchar is mentioned briefly, yet even these fleeting lines reveal much. He was a master of Nogrod's craft, his creations treasured across races, enduring long after the fall of his city. Tolkien never chronicled Telchar's adventures or thoughts. Instead, he allows the objects themselves, Narsil, Ongrist, the dragon helm, to carry the story. As Tolkien writes, Telchar of Nogrod was a master of the dwarves' craft. He made many wonders of metal that endure to our age. Notice how the focus is on the enduring nature of his work, not the man. A subtle but deliberate choice. Part of this also comes from the surviving texts themselves. Tolkien revised and reshaped his histories constantly. Some passages associate Telchar with Belagost rather than Nogrod. Other artifacts remain unattributed. The fragments we have reflect not only Telchar's obscurity, but the process of storytelling itself. Threads are woven tightly where needed, left shadowed where they serve only to hint at greater depth. Nogrod, too, was lost beneath the Blue Mountains after the War of Wrath. Its destruction erased much of dwarven history along with the city's physical halls. The knowledge, skill, and artistry of generations of craftsmen vanished, leaving only the traces of Telchar's genius in metal. Yet even in this silence, his creations connect ages and peoples, shaping the fate of elves, men, and even the events of the Third Age. In the end, Telchar's story is a mosaic of fragments, a name, a few lines, and the objects that endure. Tolkien's narrative choices, the reshaping of texts, and the literal erasure of Nogrod all contribute to the mystery. And perhaps that is fitting. In a world where fate is often shaped by hands unseen, Telchar's legacy reminds us that history can be made quietly, through craft, not glory. Though we will never know the man fully, his work ensures that his presence echoes through Middle-earth, long after the halls of Nogrod have vanished. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.